the old Shams Charania notification at 9:30 in the morning. I'm like, it's probably an injury. Something going on. Bloop. Taylor Jenkins has been fired as head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies.
The winningest coach in franchise history.
Now, there have been rumblings this was probably going to happen in the offseason for a number of reasons. I don't think Taylor Jenkins is necessarily to blame. Ja Morant and his availability or lack of availability and catering to him and all the nightmare stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But it wasn't a full-on like Rick Carlisle clashing with Luka Doncic, and not necessarily irreconcilable, but definitely had to have somebody. Jamal Mosley had to step in and kind of be the intermediary there. Mm-hmm. But it just, you knew it wasn't working. So it was a bit of a surprise as the Memphis Grizzlies are still capable of getting the 2 seed in the Western Conference, removing their coach with 3 weeks to go in the season.
They have been dreadful, though, post All-Star break. They're 8-11 post All-Star break.
Mm-hmm. And their record against teams above 500 is egregious.
11-20.
Yeah.
They have been feasting on the season,
mm-hmm.
that is.
Yes.
The entire season is 11-20. So they've been feasting on bad teams and have not been good post All-Star break. Yet, they still have a chance to be the 2 seed. 6 years in Memphis, mm-hmm. There was so much promise, and then Ja.
Mm-hmm.
The injuries to Ja, the suspensions to Ja. Last year just went boom,
and then
everything
this year
tanked out.
You look at his litany of injuries: shoulder, ankle, hamstring, knee, thigh. He's got the Iverson curse because he's tiny, so he's always going to be beat up. But then there's the other stuff that you deal with. There's the stuff that everybody knows about publicly, but privately there's more.
Last year, though, it was even more than just Ja. Everyone got hurt.
That whole team. They got the New Orleans.
Yeah,
that they got this year.
They just got this
decimated
curse of injuries around them. But as you look at it now, in all likelihood, if they turn it around, the 3 seed is in play. The 2 is 9 games to play. You have to make up 3.5.
Yeah,
that's hard. And they have, I think, their remaining schedule is nasty.
Yeah,
where they
not as bad as the Suns, but it ain't great.
They have a stretch where you just go, all right, good luck with this one. They've got a stretch that includes their next 3: Lakers, Boston, Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Their final 3, when everybody's going to be jockeying for position in the playoffs, are against teams that will all be jockeying for position in the playoffs and play in. Minnesota, Denver, mm-hmm. on the road, Denver, who they could be vying for that 3 seed with, and then the Dallas Mavericks, which may need a win mm-hmm. to get into that play-in.
And the Timberwolves are trying to avoid the play-in.
Yeah, at the very beginning of it.
And you're looking at, this is the time of the season where teams are looking at seeding and matchups, and you just don't really know necessarily what's going to go, but there are teams that are kind of fighting for their lives. And you know what they want.
In 6 of your last 9
mm-hmm.
are against teams that are all going for it.
So the Jenkins firing, number 1, is a surprise overall. Number 2, well, not I should say overall, the timing of it was wild. Then we get further news that it wasn't just Taylor Jenkins. Taylor Jenkins' assistants, not all of them, some of them were also let go. Noah LaRoche and Patrick St. Andrews were also let go. Noah LaRoche, working alongside now interim head coach Tuomas Isolo, who's from Finland. Justin Hebert, I can't remember what place he's writing at, but he wrote an article about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, about the new kind of egalitarian system that they're running offensively. And a lot of the principles are based on this assistant coach's principles that he brought over from Finland and playing in Europe. He's a seriously fast riser. He is a coach that I have heard on short lists for basically every team that is looking at a potential head coach this offseason. Like, I've heard him come up with, but people have asked me what I've thought of him if Portland moved on from Chauncey Billups. I think he would have been on a short list. He's a very, very, very bright mind. But Noah LaRoche took his system. He was more responsible for implementing it and went away from the pick and rolls, which is the Ja Morant bread and butter. And, part of the reason you draft Zach Edey is that Ja Morant can make life easy for Zach Edey at the rim. Zach Edey, 7'4", big dude, rim finisher. Without having that kind of a setup, it's kind of neutered both those guys. But I think part of the reason LaRoche and Jenkins went to this system was because of the lack of ability or lack of availability with John Morant. And I think that led to some more tension. I actually asked Chauncey Billups about this when they played the Grizzlies, 10 days ago now? 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I go, hey, this egalitarian system where everybody gets to eat, it's equal opportunity. How do you see that in the NBA? And Chauncey actually put his foot down pretty firmly of John Morant's superpower is the pick and roll, and they've taken that away from him. Now, Ja wasn't obviously playing that night because I'm kind of interested to see how that works out, which kind of gives you the eyebrow raise of in the coaching circles, they knew kind of what was going on behind the scenes, and they all talk. It's a fraternity of coaches, and things that are.
It's what they do.
It's what they do. And I thought, number one, I thought it was interesting that Chauncey very kind of staunchly pushed back of they're not optimizing what they can do, but also acknowledging that they're kind of protecting themselves and insulating themselves against John Morant,
right?
Because of his lack of availability. This head coach, the interim head coach, Isolo, his system is actually more predicated on pick and roll with the equal opportunity egalitarian stuff. This very much sounds like Zach Kleiman, the general manager, and probably the power brokers, i.e. John Morant within the team.
Yeah.
We're pushing for this and pushing hard for this to get John more involved, because what makes the Grizzlies, going back to John Morant as a prospect, yes, he is super talented and otherworldly as an athlete and finishing at the rim. What people forget is John Morant was a 20-10, emphasis on the 10 assists a game in college at Murray State. He made that team viable because John Morant is a obscene creator.
Yeah.
Not just a scorer. He is an unbelievably gifted passer.
Yeah, he is. He's really good.
And that has been neutered. And this team right now does not have an identity on either side of the ball. And I think that is where the problems really lie beyond even the egos and the power struggle. When I say Memphis Grizzlies, what do you think? You think John Morant?
Ja, baby.
And if he's not the straw that stirs the drink, they don't have the other. Look, I love Desmond Bane. Love Desmond Bane. He is not a premier creator. Jaren Jackson Jr., while he's made significant leaps as a player on both sides of the ball, as a defensive player of the year, reigning defensive player of the year, his offensive game has grown drastically. It's not made them better in a sense of reflecting in wins and
right.
outcomes, right? I'm very interested to see how this goes over the next 3 weeks. Does this turn into the coach bump? Do you see some real holistic changes in their offense? Do they get kind of their defensive-minded attitude? Because remember...
It all hinges on Ja being healthy, though. And he's got a hamstring injury, and that is going to linger. And if he's not healthy, then this is a move that makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
I've had some people ask, would you be interested in John Morant for the Blazers or LaMelo Ball, who just got shut down for another set of work on his ankles? It turns out those Ball kids don't have great ankles.
Big baller brand.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see that lawsuit somewhere down the road.
Against their dad?
Yeah. There's been some stuff about those shoes leading to Lonzo's issues.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, they're not great made shoes. But I personally, I would not want to be in the LaMelo Ball or John Morant business.
No.
For a multitude of reasons, different reasons for both guys. I would not want to be in the business. And there's been talks for probably the past 4 or 5 months. Are the Memphis Grizzlies interested in getting out of the John Morant business?
It'd be interesting to see if go back to, was it Grindhouse?
The grit and grind?
Grit and grind.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
But I mean,
that was fun. That was a fun era of
the
basketball.
Tony Allen, Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol Grizzlies. Oh man, if they would have added Mike Conley, if they would have had a wing on that team, goodness gracious.
They have updated at BetOnline and sportsbetting.ag the next head coach fired in the NBA. Do you know who that is? Odds-on favorite 2-1.
Ooh, Bud.
No.
Oh,
Bud is 7th. It is Nick Nurse of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, I mean, him and Embiid have been fighting all season. That's not a surprise.
Next, who do you think it is?
It's not Washington. It's not Charlotte. They figured it out with Mosley. God, who?
Darko up in Toronto. Darko Rajokovic.
Yeah, that's a bit surprising.
Then you've got Willie Green down in New Orleans at 4-1.
That one's been rumored for a bit.
Will Hardy 5-1. That's what they asked him to do this. He's pissed that they're
did you
losing.
see him go off the other night?
Yeah.
Holy.
And then you have Brian Keefe in Washington, Charles Lee in Charlotte, then Mike Budenholzer.
Okay.
All right, in Phoenix. Then it's Jordy Fernandez in Brooklyn.
Not a chance in hell.
And then Chauncey Billups, 12-1, ninth best odds to be the next coach fired in the NBA is Chauncey Billups.
He's making it through the season.
Well, and then he doesn't have a contract, so.
Yeah. Well, he's got the option.
But
yeah.
That to me, that's why Chauncey is ninth on this. Because the Blazers have made it abundantly clear they're going to see the season through.
Yeah.
And the next head coach fired is a guy that still has years on his contract and is not living up to them.
Yeah.
Chauncey's got an option where they can just, it's not even a firing.
The only reason Jordy Fernandez would be fired by the Nets is because he's winning too many games.
Maybe.
Like, that's the only, if Jordy Fernandez got fired, there would be teams lining up for him.
Yeah.
Lining up for him.
Well, he was on the Blazers shortlist the first time around.
Is Spo on there anywhere?
Yeah. Eric Spoelstra is on this list. He was at, I think, like 250-1.
That's surprising.
Oh, really?
There's been some stuff going on down there. I don't think they do it, but the fact that it's even broachable at this point, is surprising.
100-1. He is there with Jamal Mosley, J.J. Redick, J.B. Bickerstaff, Tom Thibodeau at 100-1. 250-1 is Kenny Atkinson and Mark Diagonal in Oklahoma City.
The fact that there's even odds for
they're not good
for
ones.
those coaches.
250-1 is not great odds.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't even put odds on them.
Yeah, well, they're there. You never know.
I guess people could throw their money away. Go for it.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you know something about a scandal that's coming up.
Yeah, well, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Maybe he was walking around with a hypodermic needle.
Yeah.
Poking people.
Pooping in desks.
Yeah, like the police chief of that New Jersey town that we were talking about earlier. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
Evil shenanigans.
No, that is all criminal, and that guy is a monster that should be put in the jail that he currently oversees. Holy smokes.
Yeah, you're not wrong.